Welcome to Crafty Little Beach. This is Julie. Today I have a Dollar Tree DIY for you.
I'm going to use one of those mermaid frames from the Shore Living, but I'm only using it for reference, so you don't actually need it for this DIY. But I'm going to take two of their longer signs. I think they're for 4th of July. They have the star cut out, and they're like a white weathered, but you could do this with any of the long signs from Dollar Tree. The star cutout, though, is beneficial because I'm going to go ahead and use that as part of the sign. But what I want to do is just join the two signs together. Now, they're really thin, so I am going to have to brace it. And the best way that I have found to brace these signs together is just simply to use popsicle sticks. So that's what we're going to do. These are just popsicle sticks from the Dollar Tree, and I don't want to cover up the stars at all. So I'm going to kind of work around that, but more is better than less because, sometimes these signs can bow a little bit, but this seems to straighten them out a little bit. So I am just going to hot glue these popsicle sticks to the back. And what I want to make is I'm going to have like a vertical sign for 4th of July, but I wanted it to be bigger. That's why I needed two of these together. And this is a great way to get a really large sign to decorate for your holidays. So that looks pretty good. We can flip this over. I did want my stars to be on opposite ends, and then I thought I could do a really fun mermaid tail on the sign. I just kind of have to figure out how we can fit that around the stars. And again, I am just using the mermaid wreath form for reference. You don't have to have it for this DIY. Now I want to do a patriotic mermaid tail. So I needed flag material. I'm going to use one of these little chair covers from the Dollar Tree. It's kind of like a little pillowcase. I wasn't sure if I was going to use 2 layers, so I just turned it inside out so I could get the underside of the fabric. And I ended up only using 1 layer. It is a very thin material, but it turned out pretty cool. Now I thought the tail, very tail part, like the fin, would be really cute with the star pattern from the flag. So I just use a Sharpie and just draw along the outside of my tail. And then I'm just going to go in and cut that out. Somebody has ran off with my good fabric scissors, and it really made me struggle today, is all I got to say. They got to be around here somewhere. And I did cut out both layers, and I did kind of see if that was going to help it be less transparent, but that lining was so thin that you could still see straight through the fabric. So I'm just going to go ahead and do 1 layer. It's going to make everything a little bit easier. So just cutting out the curvy parts here of the tail. And we have a little flag star pattern for the tail. Now for the rest of the mermaid tail, I want to use the stripes. I thought horizontal would be cute. So I'm just going to use this for reference and draw this shape out. This is why you don't really need this. I couldn't think of a way to do a mermaid tail on the sign. I didn't really want it to be 3D, so I didn't really want to use the wreath form. I just want the fabric. So I just go in and cut that out as well. Again, I had a little difficulty cutting this, but it's probably just because I didn't have my fabric scissors. But I'm just cutting out that tail part, and then I want to put the two together, and I want to do a really fun sign. My thought for this was a mermaid in the USA sign. Instead of made in the USA, I thought that'd be really cute, and it's going to go with my coastal 4th of July decor. So it's just a matter of getting this to fit. Again, I didn't want to cover up any of the stars. So I just kind of play around with it. I kind of want the tail to be upside down, like it is peeking out of the ocean. Not necessarily going to paint the ocean or anything on there, but I think we can make this work. So to attach it, I just use Mod Podge. It's very thin fabric, so I just did a thin coat of Mod Podge and then lay that on there. It kind of soaks right through, so the best way I found was just to take kind of a wet wipe and just smooth that out so you have a nice thin layer. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the stripe part of our tail. And this is what I mean about it being thin. See how you can see the wood grain straight through the stripes? And actually, it's so thin that in the end, it kind of looks like there's nothing there. Like there's just red stripes, which is kind of cool too. And I'm going to frame this out a little bit so you'll still be able to see the shape of the mermaid tail. But even with that white liner from the back underneath of it, you can still see the wood through it. So it is what it is. I kind of like it. Now, these are new, I think, this year. These little metal star ornaments from the Dollar Tree. You get two in an arrangement and they like have little wood beads on them. And I thought these would be perfect to put behind the star cutouts. So I'm going to take one navy and one red one. We'll do navy here at the bottom to kind of alternate from the navy on the top of the mermaid tail sign. And I thought it would be really cool to put it right behind it like that. So I just took some Dollar Tree burlap and I kind of just made some patches to put on the back to hold them in because it's a little bit smaller than the star cutout. And just glue that to the back, kind of sandwiching that in. That way, around the edges of the star, where you can kind of see through, you'll see burlap through, so it'll still kind of go with my coastal vibe. See how it can slightly move around in there? And then I'm going to do the same thing for the top. This one I am doing red, but I love these little metal stars. Wasn't very impressed with the selection of 4th of July stuff, honestly, at any of my Dollar Trees, but I did like these. There were a few items that I thought were okay, but I don't know. I just don't think they do a very good job with the 4th of July decor, but that is just my opinion. And there is the red and the navy star. So cute. Now, of course, I left a little area here at the bottom, and I need a place to say Mermaid in the USA, right? So I thought one of these little square wood planks from the Dollar Tree would be perfect. You could always, make a paint directly onto the sign if you want to, but I thought I could kind of make it its own sign. And I wanted to have a very light stain. So I put a little bit of Antique Wax by Waverly on that raw wood from the Dollar Tree and then use a baby wipe to just spread it all around to give me a lightly stained sign. Now for this part, you could totally use your Cricut. I am just going to go for it with a white paint pen and to see what I can do. I want to say Mermaid in the USA, and I just kind of did Mermaid like in the skinny or Ray Dunn font and just kind of did each line kind of differently. I thought USA would be good with those big like block letters like that. Whenever I do like a white paint pen on like a stained wood like this, it kind of soaks in a little bit, as you can see. So I do have to go over it with another coat, but I don't know. I still sometimes think it's easier than using my Cricut. And for USA, I'm going to make these colored, but I'm going to go ahead and color them in with the white paint pen to kind of give me a nice bright background. And I love that saying. I think it's so cute. So I give that a quick dry, and then I thought we could kind of outline these. I'm just using a red Sharpie. Sometimes I like to use Sharpies instead of paint pens because I find that it's kind of easier to control. It doesn't bleed as much. So I do blue for the S and then red for the A. I wasn't real happy with my blue color. I was trying to make it a little bit darker, but I didn't have anything real dark. Now, I'm going to give it that coastal farmhouse vibe just by distressing lightly with a little bit of ivory and a chunky brush. And I think I'll put the sun right over here in this opening. I think that looks really cute. I really wanted the S to be more navy like everything else on the sign. I didn't really have a good navy, but I did find one that was a little bit darker. And I'm also going to go over my other letters with another coat of red Sharpie just to kind of make them pop a little bit. I didn't necessarily want to color them all the way in, but I did want them to have a little bit of color down there. And I'm just going to hot glue that little sign onto the front here, right about here. Now, I like the mermaid tail. I think it looks really cool. I did want to frame it out a little bit, though. So I'm just going to use some Dollar Tree rope and I am just going to hot glue that all the way around. Now, I told you those like white stripes like almost disappear. You can't hardly even see them. And it even fooled me when I started like gluing down the rope because there was a white stripe there and I totally didn't even see it, which makes framing it, I guess, a little bit more important. You get that shape, but it's kind of cool. I like the fabric being really thin like that because it almost became like part of the sign underneath it. And I just hot glue that all the way around the shape of the tail, just working one section at a time, making sure that it does not dry out by the time I get there. And I think my camera died right about now. But basically, I just kept going all the way around with the rope. And then I drilled 2 holes in the top, the center of each sign, so I could make a little hanger. And I put some twine in from the back and knotted it on the front before I realized that my camera was dead. That'll let you know that I was a good 30 minutes into this project because that is how long my camera will last without turning itself off. I hate that. Now, I did want a little bit more definition, so I did go back with my letters and kind of do like a little stitch line with a black Sharpie all around all of my letters just because I wasn't super happy with it. And I like that. That looks pretty cool. And we have a really fun, unique Mermaid in the USA sign. I think this is going to be really fun to decorate with. I loved using the little metal stars in the little cutouts. I think that was a nice surprise. But how cute is the little stars and stripe mermaid tail?
And it's really easy. I don't think you need the mermaid tail wreath form at all. You can just use some rope for your shape like that, kind of sketch it out to your fabric,